What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a great day. I am just getting home from work, trying to settle in. Sixers game is coming on. Wanted to put this damn show out, so we're going to get into the interior defensive line tonight. We're keeping this draft series going. We got all the offense done. We're going through the defense now, going to take a look at what the Eagles have in this draft at the current position. And of course, all of the draft prospects and the top fits at each position, just like every other show during this draft series. But in case you haven't seen it, that's what we do. You can see here at the sidebar, we'll go through all of that, talking about the interior defensive linemen, the big boys on that line. And, the Eagles always looking in the trenches. So we'll discuss where they should be looking, who I think they should be looking at. And I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Appreciate all of you hitting the like button, subscribing, sharing stuff. All that stuff truly means the world to me. Cannot thank you enough for the support. But let's jump right into this bad boy. And let's take a look, first and foremost, showing you what the Eagles have, where they are selecting. And if you know Howie Roseman, any one of these picks could change, could be traded, moving back, moving forward. All depends on who he's looking at. But you've got a first, 2 seconds, a fourth, 3/5, and a 6th-round pick. So lots of ammo here, and not just this season, but we've got 22 picks total in the next few years. So how he could be wheeling and dealing. I mean, he's going to be. It's just a matter of how much and where. So you see what we've got there. Now let's take a look at what we've got at this position we are currently talking about. So interior D-line. I see a lot of talk about how the Eagles desperately need help there. Lost Fletcher Cox, got to do this, that, the other thing. Not sure if these people have been watching, but last 2 years we have selected an interior defensive lineman with our first selection. So, okay, but to me, it's not a huge need here. So got them at number 10. Obviously, we talked about all this stuff before this draft series a few weeks ago. And, obviously to me, interior D-line is pretty stacked. And, you could add some depth there. We talked about all of these things. And let's take a look at what they have here. And Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, the future. Cannot wait to see them continue to develop and dominate this season. Then you look at Milton Williams. I think he's the perfect replacement for Fletcher Cox. Think he is going to feast. Love to see him extended this season. But the final year of his contract, we'll see how he plays. Hopefully he plays lights out. You got Tua Pelotu, Ojomo, Ellis, Booker, Mustapher, all here to compete. So, again, would not mind adding some depth to this room, but I feel pretty damn confident in the top 3. And I do like Tua Pelotu, Ojomo, hopeful for the other guys. So I like what we have here. Not dire need, but a lot of talent in this draft. So, let's take a look at all of them, and then we'll talk about the top fits for the Eagles. And if you don't see somebody on this list, or, there's somebody you want to talk about, feel free to comment down below. Always down to talk some birds with you. And especially during this time, you can be a fan of anybody. Always just down to talk some football. But starting it off here with my round 7 undrafted guys that you could look out for. And look, to me, if you miss any of these shows, I kind of put them in order of how I think they'll go. So some of these guys could be drafted at the final day, or you could find them on the street, undrafted free agent signing, and I would not be against that. We're going to be breaking down a couple of these guys, and then a few guys where anywhere in day 3 here from 4 to 6, I think, these guys could go, and more so 4 for, the first guys you're looking at here on the left. And then, getting into guys like Christian Boyd, love it. Maybe they go in the 4th, the 5th, Jordan Jefferson, a lot of talented guys here in this area. And the Eagles, we have 3 5th-rounders, a 6th-rounder, and we have that 4th. So you've got 5 picks within this area, and we'll definitely be breaking down some of these guys here. And Leonard Taylor will not be on my list, but I really do like him. But regardless, we'll talk about these guys. Round 2, 3, Chris Jenkins Jr. I'm old as hell. I remember his dad, so dear Lord. But this kid, he's, I think, better than his dad. He is a stud. And you got some guys like Aurora, you got Sweat, you've got Fisk, Hall, Dorless, Carter, and Mason Smith is somebody, for me, I've seen like round 4, round 5 grades on him. I think he could go then, but I think he could go as high as round 3. Think a very talented pass rushing, interior guy, but not so sure if the Eagles, are going to go this high with a lineman. They can always be looking at linemen. Don't get me wrong. Just because you drafted, 2 first-rounders last couple of years doesn't mean, you can't. But we'll see who's available when we're picking. where they decide to go. And in this draft, for me, I think there's just two guys that could be first rounders, Byron Murphy and Johnny Newton. I think both super talented. Whoever gets either of these guys is going to be very happy. Byron Murphy is a freak of nature. And look, not to take away from Johnny Newton, I actually kind of thought about, do I want Newton? I think Murphy's better, so he's number one for me. But I like Newton too. So those are the first round guys. But for me, again, I don't think that we need to use any of those high picks on an interior D lineman. Maybe edge, maybe, guys like linebackers and safeties and all that stuff. And we'll get into those positions here shortly. Some receivers we talked about with those higher picks. We shall see. But for me, I'm looking at the back half of this draft for my top 8 fits here. So let's get right into it. Love to hear your thoughts. About some of these players, don't know anything about these players, have any questions. You have some other players you think, that you really like. Feel free to comment down below. Would love to hear from you this sicko season. And let's keep this train moving, baby. At number 8, we've got Myles Murphy out of North Carolina. No, not Myles Murphy from Clemson last year, but 6'4", 309 pounds, and started 37 and 51 games. And couldn't really find stats, and I could have tried to go to some crazier sites and bought some stuff, but honestly, I have just not had any effing free time. So just throwing him out there right now. But this is a guy where, he is your true 3-tech, kind of defensive tackle. You could try to, use him in certain ways as that interior guy. Not so much, we talk about those odd fronts, moving guys out. I don't think he's one of those guys. He's truly, one of your interior guys. And look, I'm a fan of him. I think he could work on his tackling. Not much of a pass rusher, decent in the pass run or against the run. I'm sorry. So to me, an average player that you could find, whether that be in, around the 7th round, I'm not sure if, Murphy is somebody that's going to get drafted. So maybe he's undrafted. You could sign him off the streets. That's more my thinking of where the Eagles could go with, some of these guys. Now, someone like a Justin Jefferson or Jordan Jefferson, yeah. We all know we missed out on a Jefferson from LSU there. So I don't think that, this is the same ballpark, but this is a guy that could go higher. Maybe with one of those 5th round picks, you're looking at a guy who can help you as, a D tackle, a true D tackle, a nose tackle. And that's something that, you talk about. We have D tackles, but what about the big boys, the nose tackles, those zero shade, one technique kind of guys? And I think this is truly that guy right here, and Jordan Jefferson. And he's somebody, obviously, like I said, one of those 5th round picks, maybe he goes higher, maybe he goes in that 6th and final pick we use on him. But this is a big boy, man. And I think that he's got some good moves for his size, and I think he's got good footwork. So to me, this is somebody that, you could get in those later rounds and bring him in, and he would be a perfect depth piece to learn from some of these guys. Pretty damn good against the run. He doesn't seem to miss many tackles there. Not much of a pass rusher, but you're not looking for that. You see a lot of casual fans and casual media members getting confused as to why Jordan Davis doesn't have sacks, but it would be key to understand what his position is as a nose tackle, and, getting some depth there, I am not against. So Jordan Jefferson, come on down. Now, at number 6 here, we've got Jaden Jackson. And I think that this is another one of those kind of tweener project pieces we talk about here, and not so much of, I wouldn't say nose tackle, but he can line up all over the line. And that's what I like about him, his versatility. And, I would say that pretty good at tackling. He's got some damn good run defense. That's what I want to see. Somebody who could shut down the run. Not much of a pass rusher here, but we do got some guys. And I think the way he gets off the line, he could be turned into something, where you can use him against the run, all 3 downs. And he's got such a high motor. You never know. The sky's the limit for this kid. So he's a physical dude. He's very athletic. I think he would be a good pickup for the Eagles. And I think this is one of those guys that maybe if you acquire a 7th rounder, you trade back, whatever, or, you want to trade back into the draft, or he goes undrafted. This is somebody that I would be all for, somebody that needs some work, but that's why you're able to find him in that range. Now, at number 5 here, getting into the top 5, love to hear your thoughts. We've got Gabe Hall out of Baylor. Now, this dude, 6'6", 291. You're thinking, what the? That's pretty damn skinny for a defensive tackle. But this is a guy that you obviously are using more as a pass rushing defensive tackle. And I am a fan of Gabe Hall. He's got 12 and a half sacks in his 5 years there at Baylor. He's got great size, obviously, and not exactly the fastest dude you would think, with him being skinnier, but one of those tweener projects that I think could fit as one of those D ends in our odd fronts. So, he's not, think of it like Jalen Carter, you know what I mean? But not so much at the same time. He's not in that range. I'm just saying the position he plays, not Jordan Davis. We'll put it that way. So I think that this dude, he's a big, aggressive kind of guy, for his size. This is how he gets it done. And he's somebody that, again, I think, you're not using as an edge rusher in the NFL. I think he's maybe a little too heavy for that, but he's also kind of skinny for D tackle. So he's one of those tweener projects, but he's strong as an ox, man. This dude is a beast. He's got a good spin move. So there are things he can do that I feel make him, a viable option here. Now, this is a guy that you will probably be, again, looking at, 6th round. Maybe he drops in the 7th, maybe he goes undrafted, but I would be all for taking a project like Gabe Hall. Now, at number 4 here, we got Fabian Love out of Florida State. And this kid, I'm a big fan of him as well. And again, we're looking in this range where, obviously these guys are not like the super starting caliber, type players here, but they're coming in, they're developing under the guys we already got. We've got a lot of young talent, but this is your 3-tech kind of guy. Comes in decent at tackling, great against the run. Want to see that. Okay against pass rush, but I think you can find him with that 6th round pick. This would be somebody I would not be against getting with that last pick here. I think this is somebody that another high motor guy. He's got great technique, great feet. So I just think that this is somebody that it's going to take a little, time to develop here, but and not the fastest guy. This is another one of them big boys, 6'4", 314. So to me, you need something like that. And, we're looking at both types here, to back up Davis, to back up Carter, either one. And this is more of your Davis backup. And I would be all for getting Fabian Love here. Now at number 3, I've got somebody that this is, a sleeper pick here, but Ferguson Payne out of Virginia Tech. Spent time at Lackawanna before going to Nebraska. 6'3", 286. This is one of your pass rushing guys. You talk about that D end in those odd fronts. So, you've got outside linebackers outside of him. So those are your true, if you're a Madden player, you're thinking D end, that's your outside guy. This guy's still inside. It's just about where he's playing, the techniques he's playing. And I think this kid, with his versatility, you can line him all the way up to 4-eye. I think that it's somebody that I would definitely take a stab at as a project piece. If he goes undrafted, this is somebody I am a fan of. And, maybe you have to take him with that 6th pick, but you just never know. There's so much talent in this draft that really you never know. But I thought that this kid, he really stuck out to me. And I think that, with his ability at where he could possibly go, that's why I like him. And, he's pretty damn athletic for his size. And he's somebody that, the way the NFL is going and the way this defense is for the Eagles with those, multiple schemes, this is the kind of player you want here. And I think he could definitely beef up a little bit here, but he is the type of player I would love to see. He's got 16 sacks. And yeah, he spent 6 years in college, but this dude can get to the quarterback. He can do a lot of things that I think would be great to build upon there. And we're calling this 1B here. I almost put this guy, the first, but man, I am just enamored with this kid, and I've just recently seen people start talking about him. But Jonah LaLoosh out of Oklahoma, this is a kid, a freak athlete. Now 6'5", 292. And again, one of those guys that you're looking at as a project, but he's one of those pass rushing D end in that system that we're talking about that we run here. But he ran a 4.9640. That's pretty good for his size. I think that this is somebody that, a versatile piece. You can move along the line here. You bulk him up. This is just, man, a freak athlete here that go watch his tape. And I'm telling you, another high motor guy that you bring him on. We talk about high character leaders. This is one of those dudes where I think you put him in this system. He's, Jalen Carter's backup, but you can also have him. You never know what's going to happen with Milton Williams. I'd love to lock him up, but if he continues to blossom like I think he will, he might want to get paid. We might not be able to pay him all. I think you got to go here to Jonah LaLoosh here, and I think this would be a fantastic selection for the Eagles. I think he would have a very bright future ahead of him, and I think you could honestly nab this kid where, some people are saying, he might go undrafted. As I told you, I saw people talking about him now. I think that you could see this kid drafted with his upside. Maybe you take him in the 6th round. If he goes higher, I see this kid having a bright career. So, hey, you never know. It's the draft. They can do whatever they want. They don't have to listen to these people putting out, they don't have to listen to me trying to tell you where they go. It's up to them. Now, number 1, really enamored with this kid, Christian Boyd. And when I found out the Eagles had a top 30 visit with him, I was stoked. So he's my number 1. I told you, though, LaLoosh there, I like him so much that I almost dethroned Boyd here, but I'm a big fan of Christian Boyd, and I think that if the Eagles are able to get him, this is a steal. Now, that depends on where you're getting him, and this is just in my mind. Obviously, we're talking about where I think the Eagles should be doing stuff or how I think the draft is going to pan out here. But for me, Christian Boyd, dude, oh, man, he is 6'4", 317 pounds. This is a guy that, he backs up Jordan Davis, but he can play with him. Maybe he thins out a little bit. I think this is the kind of dude that, he's got a pass rush. He's great against the run. He actually can be like a half Jalen Carter, half Jordan Davis. I'm not even kidding you. Out of Northern Iowa, and he's got 10.5 sacks for a guy that I'm comparing to a nose tackle, now also a D tackle. So I'm telling you, like a hybrid, but he's got the length. He's got the power. This dude is an effing beast. I'm talking strong as an ox. He's got great hands. Somebody that I think, dude, he has great bursts. So you're talking about being able to, stuff the run, take on, those 2 gaps. I think that he can do it all, man. Like, I'm dead serious. I think, and look, you can't listen to it, and I have no idea how they're mocking him out there, but if this dude, if he can be one of those 5th round picks, maybe the first one, hell, I would take him in the 4th if I'm the Eagles. But I know he comes from Northern Iowa. I know the competition, blah 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 blah. I don't really care, man. I'm telling you, this dude, I think got to work on some things with his pass rush, and I think that obviously he's going to play inside, but dude, I'm telling you, Christian Boyd, I was jumping through the roof when I heard the Eagles had a top 30 visit with him. Doesn't mean they're going to draft him, but I think for me, this is somebody that would benefit the Eagles greatly because he'd be great depth. And, you want a strong rotation. We talk about that. And as much as I'm hopeful for Tuipulotu and a Jomo, this adds a very versatile piece that I think would be different from, well, kind of the same as Tuipulotu, but I think an upgrade. And I would be ecstatic to see him in Eagles, midnight green, and hell, Kelly green. And next year, who knows what that 3rd shell will be. But that's all I've got for you here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That was the interior defensive lineman in the 2024 draft and the top fits for the Eagles. I will have the edge defenders out tomorrow, then the linebackers, corner, safety. We're getting through all of it. Each day you should have one. Then when we break it down, my top guys, talking about who my guy is, going for 6 years in a row, baby, predicting who the Eagles select in the 1st round. So I appreciate all of you tuning in. If you got something from this, do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Appreciate all of you subscribing, sharing, everything, man. I really cannot thank you enough, but got to get rolling out, watch the Sixers, go move on to the playoffs. Let's go shock the world. But I hope you're having yourselves a great night. If you need anything, you can always reach out. Love to hear your thoughts on this video. You have any other comments, questions, whatever it may be, you need a friend, feel free to reach out. Comment down below. You can reach out, messages on any of these platforms, but I cannot thank you enough for taking the time. Hope you're having yourselves a great week. Tomorrow might be a long day, but I will get that damn Edge Defenders video out, and hope you're excited because I was pumped already working on it. There's a lot of talented guys, and I am really pumped up to talk about it with you. So until then, I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. You all have a safe night. Stay safe out there. And as always, Colors!